You are now tuned in to Vuh Speaks, the podcast where we speak about photography and other topics. So let's get straight into it. All right, so what is the goddamn deal, everybody on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube? How are y'all doing today, man? It's Vuhlandes back with another podcast, Vuh Speaks, the podcast where we speak. So today, I guess wanted to open up this podcast with a few things that's been, we're going to be talking about a few things in this podcast that, a few topics we're going to touch on in this podcast that are, I guess, relevant to the photography world and just relevant to the world in a sense. Everybody who's been watching these podcasts, listening to these podcasts, for one, I want to thank you because it's very hard starting new journeys and expecting people to get right with you as soon as you start this new journey. If somebody knows you for one thing, it's very hard for them to get on board when you start doing something else, because that's just human nature, and that's just the nature of the internet. For whatever reason, they don't like when the people that they have, when people start liking somebody for a certain thing. For me, it's photography. When they start doing other things, even within the things that they do, when they start doing other things that people are like, I'm not gonna fuck with that. That's not why I follow this person. If I post mountains every single day, I take pictures of mountains every single day, then I randomly like, you know what? I'm gonna start taking pictures of Coca-Cola bottles because that's what I love and that's what I want people to see. There's gonna be some people out there like, nah, not fucking with the Coca-Cola bottle shit. So no, thank you. So for the people who are watching these podcasts, listening to these podcasts faithfully, and, reaching out to me on Instagram, because if somebody reaches out to me, I've been checking my DMs a lot more lately because I want to start giving, appreciating people more. And, I don't want to be this person where you reach out to me and I don't respond because I'm just too much. Like, I'm just too much of that nigga to respond to people. You know what I'm saying? So I've been checking my DMs a lot more. A lot of people always say that they're busy and they don't have time, but I've realized in life, not just in photography, but in life, that we make time for the things we want to make time for. If I wanted to make time for answering people and, letting people know I appreciate them, I can make time for that. No one's too busy for anything. You can do things. You can respond to people that, show you love and appreciate you. So I've been trying to do that more. So I appreciate everybody who's been reaching out and just, showing me that they appreciate what I'm doing and that they're here and on board for whatever it is that I do. So yeah, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And thank you for listening to these podcasts. It's only been 3 so far. This is the 4th podcast. So thank you for listening with me up until this point. And it's been all pretty good feedback. It's been a few haters here and there, but like I said, bro, the hate will never outweigh the love on any occasion. If there's 1,000 people, bro, I'm gonna put on a small scale. If there's 10 people who love you and there's 2 people out there who just can't fucking stand you, there's no point in focusing on those 2 people because they're either miserable or jealous or just don't like you. If someone can form opinion about you and not like you, and to have never met you, to not know anything about you, what you've been through in life or anything like that, they're giving those people attention and letting them ruin your day is never worth it. I might respond to a few trolls here and there, but it's never for me, really. I might respond to people, but I'm never mad. I'll never let people get to me to the point where like I'm losing sleep at night or I'm thinking about this argument with this person after I close my phone. I respond to these people. I close my phone. I go back to living life and doing the things that I love and, surrounded by people that I love. And that's all that matters in the world of anything, in my opinion. So, yes, the people who show love, you're way more important than the people who don't. And I appreciate you guys. Also, hating ass niggas never realize that all that hate and shit only benefits the person that they're hating on. Every single time, that literally only benefits the people that they're hating on. Not once has a hating ass nigga ever benefited from hating, ever. So I just don't understand. But that's not the conversation we're here to have today. I'm here to really talk about just a few things, I guess. There's, like I said, I did a poll on Twitter about the podcast topics that, you guys might want to hear me talk about. And for right now, like I said, because I want to I'm going to talk about the things that I want to talk about, but I definitely want to hear what you guys I definitely want to talk about the things you guys want to hear me talk about. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to do a bunch of these topics, and then, here and there, I'm going to do some topics that I want to talk about, but I definitely want to talk about the things you guys want to hear me talk about. So Zarina, is that her name? Zariana, Zarianna. I think that's her name. But she asked how to stop being overly critical of your work. And I think as creators in general, not just photographers, that is a very good question, because I am the king of being overly critical of my own work. I know I may present my work in a way where it's like, yeah, I'm the man. I took these pictures and they look great. Look at this. Hell yeah, I'm very proud of this. And no insecurities come through when I'm posting pictures. And I feel like that's how it is for a lot of people. You never post pictures and you're like, these are all right. I hope you guys like them. They're okay. Maybe some people do that. But like for the most part, when you post pictures, you either don't caption it or you got a caption. And it always seems that you're very proud of your work. So maybe she's asking this because I come off as very proud of my work, which I am. I'm very proud of myself and the things that I create and the things that I accomplish and the things that I put out. I never put out things that I'm not proud of or that I'm not too, like, I guess, that I hate. If I hated it, I definitely wouldn't let anybody see it, because there's this computer in front of me with all my work on it, these hard drives with all my work on it. There's some photos in there that I fucking hate. I have a drawer full of negatives right here in front of me. There's some negatives in this drawer that I hate. I've thrown negatives away because I'm like, I hate every single photo on this negative. And if I don't like it, no one else will. It's hard to be like, it's like, where do you find a balance of loving your work without being an arrogant douchebag and not being too critical of yourself? Because as artists, we are our own biggest critics. And I'm going to say I'm my own biggest critic. To this day, I still sit in my room with like doubts. Like, am I doing the right thing? Are these photos actually good? Am I actually good? Am I a good photographer? I have these conversations with Amal all the time, and she tells me, like, you're a very good photographer. Stop being so hard on yourself. You take very good photos. And I'm like, bro, I'm not good enough. To this day, still sometimes I'm like, I'm not good enough, bro. Like, I'm not doing enough. This isn't good enough. The pictures that I take, like, you know what I'm saying? There's people online who loves my work. There's people online, like, you can be an artist. There's going to be people who love it. There's going to be people who don't like it. But I think the most important thing, actually, I know the most important thing is if you like it. That's the most important thing when you're creating work. And one way I try to stop being so highly critical of my work, because I am very critical of the things that I put out. I'm not a perfectionist. There's photographers that are perfectionists. Like, they won't even take pictures of things if it's not perfectly centered, or if it's not, the light doesn't look like this, and none of that. I don't live in a world where things are perfect, so I'm not a perfectionist. I don't live in a world where there is perfect lighting all the time, or there is perfect subjects or perfect angles and compositions. That's not the world that I live in. That's not, what I try to capture anyway. The things I try to capture aren't perfect. So things in my photos not being perfect, even if a photo's not all the way in focus, that doesn't necessarily bother me, because, like I said, everything's not meant to be perfect, especially in the world that I come from, where nothing's perfect. And I feel like when you start focusing on these little small details that don't necessarily matter, I'm not going to say they don't matter a ton or anything like that, because clearly composition matters, lighting matters, all these things sort of matter. But in certain situations, you don't have time, nor do you need to put the thought into those things meaning anything. Like, you're not going to post a photo because it wasn't taken at 2 p.m. where the sun was just right, and because that's what you've always done and that's what people like. And if you don't do that no more, people aren't going to like it. Like I said at the beginning of this podcast, it was a segue into this conversation where if you start doing things differently, people might not like it. So if you built this reputation for yourself and everybody likes this one thing that you do, or these things that you do, these certain things that you do within your work, and you start saying, fuck it, I'm going to start doing things, even if it's not perfect, even if it's not like how I usually do things, are people still going to like it? And I think worrying about what other people may think of your work builds this high criticism of yourself in your work. And once you stop caring about what other people are going to think and you only care about how you feel about your work, you become less critical of yourself. Like I said, I'm my own biggest critic. I take photos that I think are good, that I think are very good, and I like a lot. And I know there's going to be people on the internet who aren't going to like these photos at all. That doesn't bother me. I don't care about any of that stuff because I've spent years trying to get myself to like my work. Photography is like life in a way. Like, it's a process of life in a way. You have to learn to love yourself before you can really love anybody else or anything else, right? If you don't truly love yourself, you can't just get in a relationship with somebody, because then there's going to be insecurities. There's going to be problems within that relationship, all because of your love for yourself and how you feel about yourself. That's just going to affect everything within that relationship. It might ruin the relationship. It will ruin the relationship. If you can't truly love yourself, then you can't truly love someone else. And that's how I feel like it is for photography. If you can't come to terms with the flaws, I put flaws in quotations for the people listening. If you can't come to terms with the flaws in your work, then you're never going to truly love your work, which means you're never going to truly stop being critical of yourself. I love what I do. I love the work that I do because I love what I do. I love what it means to me. I love what photography means to me. So I love the work that I do. I do things that I love. I don't necessarily do things that I don't care about or that I don't love. I hardly create work that I don't like because I don't do work that I don't like. And I feel like once you find out what it is that you like, it becomes a lot easier to, I guess, stop being so critical of yourself. Like, if somebody asks me to come out, I'll pay you $1 million to take senior photos. I'm going to take some senior photos. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I'm going to take some senior photos. No cap. But if somebody asks me to be a senior photo photographer, I'm not going to have fun doing that. I'm not going to have fun taking senior photos because that's not what I want to do. That's not what photography is for me. Not to say senior photos are bad or people who take senior photos are bad or wedding photographers are, there's no shade towards anybody. I'm just saying, for me personally, I don't take senior photos. I don't take wedding photos. Me taking those photos might be fun, but that's not what I want to do. I take photos. I take regular, like if somebody asks me to take some photos like that, I'll do it. I'm not going to post it though. I'll keep them. You can get some, very intimate photos especially with wedding photos, right? But you can get some intimate photos doing these things here and there. But that's not what I do though, right? That's not what I want to do. Like, if somebody asks me, if they ask me to take senior photos for $1 million, clearly I'm going to go take some $1 million senior photos, but I'm going to have an attitude about it. I'm like, I don't want to do it, bro. Like, the day before, I'm like, I got to take senior photos tomorrow, bro. At least they paying me $1 million though. Like, that's what I'm be thinking about. But when I'm out taking photos for the things I like taking photos of, that's all I can think about the next day. I'm like, I'm taking photos tomorrow of this. Like, I'm going to go out and do this. I'm already hype about what I'm taking photos of. I'm already loving what I'm taking photos of because of what photography brings me and and how I feel about photography. It's hard though to not be so critical of your work or the things you put out or yourself. But social media, I think, has just like put this dark cloud over creators' heads, and kind of social media holding niggas at gunpoint to do what isn't necessarily the best thing to do for them, for a lot of people, even for me for a bit. You get caught up in doing things because people like it. When I first started taking the gun photos, a lot of people loved it. A lot of people fucking hated it too. Like, a lot of people hated it. It could have went two ways. I could have stopped doing the gun photos and stopped doing the documentary type of photos to please people who don't like it. And I could have kept doing it and said, fuck them, which I did do, as you can see. Because this is what I love to do. And this is how I express myself and my art and where I come from and everything that goes into it. But some people might fold under that pressure because nobody wants to be hated. Nobody wants anybody to not like them. Everybody wants to be liked by everybody. Not everybody. I wouldn't say that because I don't care about being liked by everybody. There's a lot of people out there who don't care about being liked by everybody. You're not going to be liked by everybody. You can do everything right and still never be liked by everybody. They killed Dr. Martin Luther King. Nailed Jesus to, some wooden sticks. People that were trying to do the right thing. You can do everything right and there's still going to be people who do not like you or what you do or what you stand for or who you are. And these people don't know them. You think the person who killed Martin Luther King knew him personally? No, he didn't know him. The people who put Jesus on a cross, they didn't know him. Well, maybe they knew him. That's not funny at all. I'm just saying. Hopefully, not too critical on this podcast, and people are like, "Oh hell no, he tripping now. I'm out of here." Come on now. We just talking. But for real though, social media has given people who do not know anything about anybody the power to speak on things they don't know about. And it's unfortunate because a lot of people hold their work in regards to people on social media. Like, this photo is only good because it got this many likes. And a lot of people think like that. But I don't know. I just feel like once you become comfortable with yourself and who you are and your work, you got to be comfortable with yourself in real life. Not just fuck the creator shit and being a photographer and all that other shit. You got to be comfortable with who you are. Because being comfortable with who you are leads into not giving a fuck about what people think of your work if you love it. I love my work. I love the things that I do. So can't nobody tell me anything outside of what I already think about my work. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I don't care. I know this isn't meant for everybody to like it. I like it. That's why I took the pictures. I don't necessarily take pictures of things I don't like. Like I said, I'm not going to do the senior photos. I'm not going to do the wedding photos. I'm not going to do, the landscape photos. I like photos like that. I'll take them. And I have taken them. But that's not what I do. That's not where my heart lies within my work. It's hard for me to be critical of my work. I'm not critical of anyone's work for that matter. That's why, like, when people ask me for advice or when people ask me for like criticism on their work, like, can you give me a few tips? What you think about my work? How you feel about this? I'm very hesitant to give people to be critical of anyone's work. Not even hesitant. I just don't do it at all. I don't tell people this is good or this is bad, because I do tell people things are good, because if you're a good photographer, I'm gonna tell you, especially if you ask me, this is very dope. This is good. I fuck with it a lot. If there's something I don't like about someone's work, I'm not going to tell them they should change it, or that, I don't like this. You shouldn't have done that. I'm not a professor. I'm not teaching photography. But if I don't like someone's work, or I don't care for something in someone's work, I'm not going to tell them that, because most of the time I've learned, especially with developing my own style and doing the things that I do, I've learned that people do things on purpose because they like things. And if you like something, how I feel about it doesn't matter. And that's how I feel about everything. Like when I used to super overexpose my photos, people used to, why are you overexposing? Why do you do that? This is so overexposed. And I just couldn't understand why people cared that much about what I was doing because they didn't like it. So they thought I shouldn't have been doing it because they didn't like it. And I just never understood why. I mean, we live in a world where people are like, you put it on the internet. So you put it on the internet for people to judge. And you have to be open to that because you posted it on the internet, which is true. If you post something on the internet, you got to be willing to, I guess, accept criticism. But I put criticism in quotations too because a lot of people don't give you criticism. A lot of people tell you, I like this, you didn't do that, so this sucks. Which isn't criticism. That's just, I like it and I don't like that you didn't do what I like. Like I'm going to do exactly what this nigga in North Dakota wants me to do because this is what he likes. This is what he wants to see. No, I'm comfortable with what I did and what I want and what I want to do with my work. There's nobody in the world who can tell me to do something differently. Especially somebody I didn't ask for criticism from. That's the problem with the internet. They're like, oh, you need to be able to accept criticism. It's like, nigga, I didn't ask for your criticism though. Like if I posted this and asked people to critique it, that's a different story. Hey, tell me what I did wrong on this photo. Tell me what you would have done differently if it was your photo. If I ask for that, then so be it. But no one's asking for that. No one's asking anybody to, what would you do? Because you do what you would do in your own photos. There's no point to say, I would have done this if it was my photo. Well, great thing is not your photo. It's a problem with the internet too, is a lot of people have the power to do the things that they hate seeing. They have the power to do the opposite. And instead they just complain about it. It's getting dark in here. It's late. Well, it's not late. It's like 3 p.m. But it gets dark. 4:30 in the Midwest now. So here we are. For the people watching on YouTube, I know the sun's getting real low. I just watched a bunch of Avengers movies, so But yeah, like I said, people, I don't give critiques. I'm not critical of anybody's work. Even if I don't like something, I see things I don't like all the time. I never say anything about it. Keep it to myself because it's not my business. And it doesn't bother me to the point where I need to say something to somebody about it. Third, that's that person's art that they've created from their heart. They created that. And that's what they wanted to do. That's what they wanted to show. And that's how they decided to show it. If I don't like it, that don't mean shit. That means nothing. Who cares that I don't like it? Has nothing to do with me. It's not my art. I didn't create it. I feel like that falls into that. That's just a big part of being overly critical of your work and how you present your work. I feel like a huge part of that too is just being scared to show the world something that you've created, because showing the world something that you've created takes vulnerable. If this wasn't a podcast, I would have cut that out. But you got to be vulnerable to be able to post something on the internet for whoever's going to see it. If 100 people see it, 10 people see it, 1,000 people see it, people are going to see it, right? And you got to, be vulnerable, because people, like I said, can say whatever they want. The internet gives everybody a voice. Everybody has an opinion on everything. So you got to be kind of vulnerable to show people that your work. And people are attached to their work. Like I create something, it's attached to me, especially if I put my heart into it, and especially if I care about it a lot. If someone doesn't like it, that's going to be annoying, right? You're going to be like, okay, like whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like if someone talks about your brother or sister, like you care about your brother and sister, and if someone talks shit about them, you're going to be pissed. Just like, shut the fuck up. And that's how it is with your work. People don't like it. Shit hurts. Shit's annoying. But you got to be able to not care about those things. You got to be able to let that shit go. Who cares what other people think? Who cares that this person doesn't like my photos? But yeah, like I said, I'm not too critical of my work because I like the things that I do. I'm very comfortable with doing the things that I do. And if that makes me sound arrogant or like a douchebag, then whatever. Because I've worked 7 years and I'm still not to the point where I'm very, very, very just at the top of my game where I don't give a fuck and I'm not critical at all about who I am or my work. But I've worked for years on myself and as a creator to be able to say, I don't give a fuck what people think. I don't care if people don't like this. I've worked really hard to get to that point. And if people think that makes me sound arrogant or whatever word you want to use, then so be it, I guess. Whatever. Someone in my last podcast was like, I couldn't even watch this. I couldn't even listen to this because you just sound so full of yourself and blah, 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 and this and that. And I was like, bro, like, what? All I did was say that I don't even remember what I was talking about, but like, I was just like saying that I care about my work and that like I'm passionate about my work. Nigga was like, you're a dickhead. It's like, damn, nigga. What's all that about? Sometimes people take you being proud of yourself and for other things. A lot of people would take things you never said and put it on you. I never said any of those things. Never did any of those things. Yet you have this opinion about me. For what? Own insecurities. That's why you can't let people on the internet bother you. Because if I let people on the internet bother me, man, I wouldn't even make podcasts. I wouldn't do nothing. I wouldn't make videos. I would make literally nothing because I'd just be miserable. Niggas is talking shit every single day. Gotta ignore them. Act like they don't exist. It's not worth it. To me, at least. Another topic we're going to talk about today is this person asks, I don't know what their name is, Lil Grilled Cheese. These names, bro. But anyway, he said, creating relationships with other photographers / creatives. I'm not really sure what to say about that. I have a few friends that I've met through photography. I do think photography is great for meeting other photographers and people like-minded like you, like I said. Some of my friends, like Zach, he's a brand owner. He makes clothes. Linus is a photographer. Most of my friends are photographers that I've met on the internet because I'm a photographer, right? I'm in the community of photographers, so by default, a lot of my friends are photographers. I got some rap friends, some music friends, and art friends and stuff like that too, but I feel like having relationships with these people helps you out quite a bit. The photography community is very welcoming to anyone, or at least the film photography community. I scroll on Twitter all the time and I see film photos and they got a bunch of likes, and I always see like people that I follow and like the photographers that I follow in the comments, and they're being very supportive. Even on like Instagram stories, like you see a cool photo, even if you don't know the person, you repost it because you like, this is fucking dope. And that's just what I like about the photography community. I feel like having friends within photography is also very important for challenging you, not in like a way where it's like a game or like a sport, because I don't think photography should be competitive. I don't think it should be like this competitive thing where you're better or he's better, they're better, and you're like competing to take better photos and shit like that, because that takes the fun out of it. That's not what photography is about anyway. But it challenges you because when your friends are out taking good photos or they're out doing the things that they need to do, that pushes you in the drive. And that's like, and you're like, I gotta get out, get off my ass, do some shit too. You need friends that's gonna push you indirectly, not even directly. If you're like down or about like, down about your work, talking to friends and talking to other people definitely helps, especially people who understand where you're coming from. I can talk to them all about my photography issues all day, but she's not going to actually understand where I'm coming from because she's not a photographer. She can try. She always tries, and she's very good at, reassuring me, and, she's very good at just, helping me get past that, doubt or, being critical of myself and stuff like that. There's a lot of things she doesn't understand though, because she's not a photographer. I think she's starting to understand though, because she's in this world where I'm like all about photography. I eat, sleep, breathe, take a shower, shit, photography every single day, all day. So by default, she's been, pulled into this world by me. Unfortunately for her, I doubt she cares, but a lot of the things that she wouldn't know about if it wasn't for me, she knows about now. So she kind of understands where I'm coming from when I speak about things. But having a friend who's also a photographer, also on social media, also, same goals as you, same aspirations as you, even if y'all don't have the same goals, y'all both can understand because y'all both go through it. You're both in it. So you can understand. When I was first starting photography, I used to shoot by myself. I shoot by myself a lot now though, but when I first started photography, I used to just I'd go out by myself. Everything I did, it was by myself. Then I met Sam, and I was shooting on a crop sense. I was shooting on a T3i. I met Sam. He had a full frame camera. He let me shoot with his full frame camera that day, and his lenses. These lenses I've never used before. It was like a 24 1.4. I was using like a kit lens on the T3i. He let me use these lenses, bro, and I was like, oh my God. Like, it gave me a push in a direction with photography that I wouldn't have gotten if I didn't shoot with Sam that day. And ever since then, we just shot together a lot. Like, we just would hit each other up, go out and shoot a lot. Like, and during that time, like, we went to Chicago like twice together, took photos. We've done a lot of things in photography together early on in my photography career. And without Sam, I wouldn't have experienced a lot of these things. If Sam wasn't also a photographer who was down to, help me grow, and I was down to help him grow, and, we feeded off each other and all these other things. Like, he was a true friend outside of photography, true friend, but in photography, definitely pushed me and helped me grow to the photographer I am today. Helped me out with a lot of things too. When it came to like editing, sometimes using lenses, because I definitely didn't have those lenses. He introduced me to full frame. I never even knew about full frame. I didn't know full frame cameras was a thing. After I shot with his, I was like, oh yeah. He had like a 5D Mark III, I think. And I was like, oh yeah. I can't afford no 5D Mark III, but I got a 5D Mark I. It was like $500. I sold my T3i. Had to put up like maybe $200 to get the 5D Mark I. And I got like a little 50 millimeter lens. It was like $100 or something like that. But if it wasn't for Sam, I would have been introduced to full frame a lot later in life. And then another example of having friends in photography is when I met up with Linus in New York, I was shooting film clearly, but I wasn't developing my own film, nor was I scanning my own film. Actually, I was scanning my own film. I was developing it and scanning it, but he introduced me and taught me about some new things within film photography and just like little technical things that I wouldn't necessarily have learned as fast if he didn't tell me in that moment and we didn't have these conversations. So having photography friends and just like friends in photography, making friends in photography could be a little bit hard. We can talk about this in another podcast, but the photography world has some gatekeepers. There's this few group of people who don't let anybody else, get a piece of the pie. I don't know if y'all know what gatekeeping mean, but basically is when you don't let nobody in. Pretty much. Photography's like that in a way on certain platforms and shit like that. Where there's this group of people, they all love each other, they only support each other and nobody else, and they just, they all grow, but nobody gives nobody else a chance to grow when they are very capable of helping other people grow. That's why when I see work that I like, I definitely do my best to try to let other people know I fuck with this. Because for some reason, people fuck with the things that the people they fuck with, if that makes sense. Like, I fuck with Lil Uzi, right? If I seen him fucking with, whatever rapper, Comethazine, I also fuck with Comethazine, so that's not a good example. But say whatever. Say I didn't like Drake, or I didn't really know about Drake. Examples, right? Because clearly I know about Drake. But I really fuck with Lil Uzi, so I really didn't know about Drake. I see Lil Uzi repost a Drake song. I'm going to go listen to that shit. Then I always see Lil Uzi post these Drake songs. I'm like, who the fuck is Drake? Why Lil Uzi like him so much? I see why. I start listening to it. I'm like, I see why. Made it from the bottom, now we're here. Oh, started from the bottom, now we're here. So that's why when I see people's work that I like, I try to, let people know I like this. Not to say people can't think for themselves, but some people can't think for themselves, bro. Some people only like the things that other people like. If your favorite photographer ever fucks with somebody else, you're going to be like, yeah, that's it. I fuck with that person too. Or why does my favorite photographer is my favorite photographer for a reason. Why does he like this person? Because I think he's the best, but he likes this person. Or she likes this person. Not say he, there's women photographers too. Also, shout out to the women that listen to these podcasts. Quite a bit. More than the percentage of women that listen to the podcast is more percentage than on my Instagram and YouTube. So I appreciate y'all. Thank you for listening to these. But anyway, like I said, if somebody you like a lot recommends or like someone else a lot, you're going to be like, let me at least check them out and see if I like them myself. Yeah, you might not, but at least you checked them out. Whereas photographer gatekeepers, they only share the work of their friends and the people that are already at the top. They don't need to grow no more because they're already at the top. They're not for the smaller people. So it's hard to, I guess, grow when there's already these certain amount of eyes on the photography community, and they're only pointed in one direction. So having friends sharing your work, also, sharing their work and all these other things that go into just having friends in photography. At the end of the day, these are your friends. Like, I think of Linus as a friend. I think of Sam. Like, Sam is an actual friend outside of photography. We can link up and hang out together, no cameras involved. It's my friend. You need to have these friends because, first of all, no one just doesn't want to have friends. Everybody wants to have friends. Right now, it is what it is. I got friends and I got internet friends. And right now my internet friends are, my friends. So that's where we are with the whole having friends debate. I don't even know. It's definitely not even a debate. It's just more of a conversation. But I do like being friends with, I do have like friends that, like I said, are into music, design, art. But I've met a lot of my friends because of photography. Even if they're not photographers themselves, I've met a lot of people that I have relationships with now because of photography. So you got to give photography, at least me, photography has saved my life, and everything I do in life now almost revolves around photography. Like creative life, I guess. My real life is very regular, very regular. But I'm grateful for the friends that I do have within photography because you kind of got to have friends to, level up too at some point. You want to believe you can do everything by yourself. And I'm all for doing everything by myself because even now today, I'm still like, I'm gonna do all this shit by myself. I don't want nobody to say they gave me a handout. I don't want nobody to say they helped me with nothing. Like, I do all this shit by myself. I'm self-made. You know what I'm saying? Can't nobody tell me shit. You know what I'm saying? See, that's what happens when I just keep talking. Like, I eventually just start getting annoying. But having friends and having them help you, because you can't do everything by yourself. As much as you want to believe you can do everything by yourself, you can't. And friends are always there to help you. A lot of the videos that I've made on YouTube is because Sam let me use some of his cameras. The Nikon video I just made wasn't even my camera. It was Sam's camera. Sam has helped me out with film if I needed it. A lot of things came from just us being friends that has helped me creatively. So, you know what I'm saying? Having friends, very important in my opinion. It just depends on what type of friends you got. Sometimes people be having ulterior motives, man. Especially in this game of photography, social media photography. So yeah, I just say choose your friends carefully. You pick your friends. Wait, what's the saying when they talk about picking your friends' noses and shit like that? You pick your nose, but not your friend's nose or some shit like that. I don't know what they be talking. Pretty sure a white person came up with that analogy. Ain't no black people picking nobody's nose. Come on now. But anyway, that's probably gonna wrap up this podcast. It's getting very late. I don't know. Let me know. Do y'all like the longer podcasts, or do y'all like kind of like 30, 45 minute ish? The last one I did was like almost an hour, but I know people could be on these podcasts for like ever, like 2 hours. Somebody that Amal watches on YouTube had like a 4-hour stream or some shit like that. I know streams be very long because people just like they'll leave their stream, come back, and you know, I don't know. Streams is different, but she was listening to somebody who has a podcast. It was like 2 hours. I'm like, bro, what? I don't think definitely didn't listen to a 2-hour podcast, but she was just saying like their podcast be that long. And I'm like, oh my God, that's a long time to just be talking. But who knows? I could have a friend on here one day and then we fuck around and talk for hours. Who knows how that goes? But yeah, bro, podcast, should it be longer? Should it be shorter? Or should it just be like regular? I like the 45-minute mark, or like 35 to 45 minutes. I kind of like that, where it feels like you don't lose people's attention and because you're like talking too much and it's going on for too long, but you still, you know, get that time in and talk about some important things. So I don't know. I kind of just talk and then end it when I'm done, but I guess we'll figure it out. Like I said, this is the 4th podcast, bro. We still figuring it out to this day. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. I hope you guys got something out of it. Yeah, if you're listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Anchor, whatever it may be, thank you. I really, really do appreciate it. And if you're watching on YouTube, thank you as well. I guess I'll see you guys in the next podcast. But I guess send me some topics. If you follow me on Twitter or Instagram, send me some topics of anything you might want to hear me speak on. And, you know, we can speak on it. But until then, I'm going to see y'all in the next one, man. Let's get it.